Good afternoon, and welcome to the BIOVISION session on cancer prevention and the opportunities and challenges. I'm Barbara Nasto. I'll be your moderator today, and you'll be exposed to a vast array of views and perspectives, both policy and research, that touch upon what can be counted amongst one of the greatest public health successes in the last 20 years, cancer control. Now, we've got tobacco and tobacco control, and if people can remember 20 years back, the EU implemented these policies to curtail smoking in cafes and buildings, which is now why you can walk into a cafe and not be immersed in one of those clouds I so fondly remember in the cafes of Amsterdam. So common sense tells us it's much easier to prevent a disease than it is to treat it. And in addition to tobacco control, we have the successes of vaccine programs for both Hep B and HPV, which has come along more recently. And both of these have been stemming the tides against liver cancer and cervical cancer, respectively. Infections are responsible for 15% of the cancer that is caused worldwide. But that statistic also breaks down or helps me to make the point about the disparities in the cancer burdens amongst the nations, most markedly between the developing and highly resourced countries in the developing world. So of that 15%, 3% of the population, if you're in a high resource country, experiences some form of cancer related to that infection. That number goes up 10 times if you're in sub-Saharan Africa, which is particularly challenging. And it's a unique challenge in an under-resourced area or where resources are limited. One of our first speakers will be touching upon how prevention strategies need to be tailored to developing nations and how, in fact, they differ from the same strategies that you might implement with screening programs in places like the UK or the US. And so, I'm sorry, I'm hesitating a bit. So we have our culprits. We have tobacco and we have infections. And of course, there's obesity as well. Caloric restriction, I can remember being taught back in the 1980s, was a surefire way of avoiding cancer. We have two of our speakers who will be touching upon nutrition and exercise and programs to encourage this amongst the population as preventative measures. And then we also will ask the question of, are there other culprits? Well, I think we'd get a resounding yes from Catherine Hill of the Gustave Roussy, in that alcohol is yet another culprit when it comes to the causes of cancer. And I'm sorry. So I'm going to skip to just introducing our first speaker, who's Ruxandra Drahia-Akli, and she's the Director of Health and Research for the DG and as the European Communion's Directorate of Research and Innovation. And she'll be launching the session by providing us with an international perspective on cancer prevention. We also will be enjoying a bit of a view from the research perspective about that stems from the spectrum of genomics and molecular technologies all the way up to taking the environmental approach to looking at the gaps in our knowledge and coming up with new and better strategies for cancer prevention to address the gaps that tobacco, infection, obesity, and even alcohol don't address. So, thank you.